I'm thinking a lot about like this feeling I've had of independence, right? Of freedom. Like, how do I maintain that now in a shared space? And so,
That's the primary dilemma of a committed relationship is how do I maintain my own sense of independence, my own sense of freedom without giving up my connection with my partner? We all face this in every relationship. And I love the way Brock and Kristi try to wrestle through this. It's incredibly difficult, but they're making a solid effort.
like, I felt good about the unit. I liked it, but I definitely saw in my head separate living spaces.
So one way that we try to solve this problem is by creating some sort of physical distance. This is what Brock is doing right now. So they have been solving this problem by having 2 separate apartments. That's incredibly expensive. And so now they're going to move back in together. But Brock doesn't want to give up his sense of independence. And he's imagining that he can do that by having his own place to sleep. Realistically, Brock's going to have to learn how to hold on to who he is, even if he's sleeping in the same bed with Kristi. I mean, I'm not opposed to sleeping separately, but the solution he's imagining is not the actual long-term solution. In the end, physical separateness is not the solution. Emotional and psychological separateness is the solution. And they've been working to try to build this. It's just really hard to do.
Like, I saw that.
What do you mean?
Like a place for me to go at night and sleep and like have my night routine. And that's why we kind of we were arguing yesterday, because I really wanted a Murphy bed. I want a bed that I can pull down and it's my bed, right?
But it's still 1 bedroom. It's still not a ton of space. Like, I don't know if I want a Murphy bed taking up a quarter of the one shared living space. And I was kind of envisioning that, like, we sleep in the same bed again. Like, if you don't want to live with me, then why are we getting this 1 bedroom apartment? Like,
Kristi really struggles with talking about what she wants without being a little bit mean about it, a little bit judgmental.
Well, I do want to live with you, but I don't really see a problem with having a separate bed space.
It's actually really a simple argument. He wants a Murphy bed. She doesn't want a Murphy bed. And so she wants him to sleep with her. He doesn't want to sleep with her, at least not in the same bed. And that's just a disagreement. He wants one thing. She wants something else.
I don't know.
Well, are you open to being flexible on that? Or is it, I can only sign the lease if
No, I just don't think that makes a lot of, I don't know. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, are we coming to?
So this is something we have to figure out together. This is how we grow, is by facing these dilemmas where I have to choose one or the other. Either we move in together or we don't move in together. And if either person declines to sign the lease, then we're not living in together. So both people have to say yes to this.
Together or not?
Can you tell us something about how you're feeling about what Brock is saying, that he's suggesting that you sleep separately? How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling sad. That, like, you're not excited. It sounds like this is going to be like, what? You plugging your nose and swallowing this decision down? Like, I didn't think that it would be this, like, huge negotiation to, like, sleep in the same fucking bed.
So this is threatening Kristi's sense of being good enough. She feels like, if she was good enough, then Brock would want to sleep in the same bed with her, and he doesn't, and that's bothering.
You're getting mad, but you're saying that underneath it sounds like you're hurt?
Yeah.
Because you're understanding it as a statement that Brock is...
I mean, it definitely feels like a rejection, obviously.
A rejection of?
Being with me. Loving me. Wanting to be in partnership with me.
This is really difficult, but it's an opportunity for Kristi to learn to offer the kind of emotional support she wants from Brock, to learn to offer that to herself. To create a relationship that endures, each person has to be able to support themselves emotionally instead of relying on emotional support from the other person. It's kind of a paradox, because the more I can support myself emotionally, the more love I have to offer to my partner, and it makes it easier for my partner to offer more emotional support and love to me. So when I need emotional support from my partner, it makes it less likely that I'm going to get it.
I understand that when you interpret something as rejecting, it can make you kind of tight and protective of yourself. But I don't know if that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So maybe you can ask openly if that's what it's about.
I would say something like, it is a rejection. He is saying he doesn't want to sleep in the same bed with you. That's a rejection. Can you find a way to be okay with that rejection? And she has a choice. She either moves in or she doesn't. But, trying to change Brock so that she can be okay is probably not the best solution to this.
Yeah. I know it feels stupid to even ask because I know you're going to say that's not what it's about, that you literally, it's so surface level for you that you just want to sleep in your own space.
Wait, Ellie, you asked.
Damn, girl.
Okay.
That's quite an assumption.
Is that what's it about?
No. But what it is about is like the last couple years, like I feel like I've grown so much as an individual, and I know you have too, in our own spaces. And part of it is me kind of just being afraid of like losing that.
I think they have grown. I think they have grown individually as they've been living apart. Even more growth will come from living together. So engaging in a committed relationship is the primary driver of human growth. And Brock and Kristi are about to step back into that environment that's going to demand growth of them. It demands growth because this marriage environment, I'm going to live with you, I'm going to try to love you, we're going to try to treat each other well. If we don't grow up and learn to treat each other well and learn to handle our emotions, then we become miserable. And so moving back in together it's going to increase the pressure on both of them to grow.
And so it's not a rejection of you. Like I'm really trying to preserve like that part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's what yeah.
It also makes sense that it's a rejection. It is a rejection. And he's not completely rejecting her, but he's saying, I don't want to sleep in the same bed with you, which is a kind of rejection.
I'm saying like moving into a 1-bedroom apartment with me feels like us both compromising, us both agreeing to give up our individual spaces to come together. And it feels like I'm willing to do that, but you're not. And so I'm like here now being like, what gives? I'm just confused.
Wait, do you feel like you're giving up autonomy too?
Yes, willingly.
Kristi's framing this as if Brock is wrong and she's right. That's not a useful framework. A better framework is, Brock, I want you to sleep in the same bed with me. And I understand that you don't want to sleep in the same bed with me. So if Kristi forces or cajoles Brock to sleep in the same bed with her, that doesn't actually get her what she wants. She wants Brock to want to sleep in the same bed with her, and he doesn't. He doesn't want that. Maybe he could change his mind down the road, but that's not what he wants right now. Her instinct is to go into right and wrong, to say, the thing you're doing isn't acceptable in some way. The thing is that Brock doesn't agree with that. And so that framework isn't going to have any power. It would be more powerful for her to just talk about what she wants.
But would you like to have that? Because
No, I'm giving some up to move into an apartment with you. And it feels like you don't want to do that same thing.
Because we don't have to make that sacrifice. So I don't really see it as a sacrifice because
I mean, Kristi's not wrong about this. In a way, he is holding on to a certain kind of independence that she's not holding on to. The thing is that that's a choice that he can make, and she's framing it as if he's doing something wrong, which he's not. He just has a different preference.
something we have to make. I have a really hard time understanding because it's like,
Well, I wish you would have thought of this before we
I did.
Hold
No,
on a
Kristi,
second.
I did think
Hold on a
about it.
second. Hold on a second. Kristi, I want to help you figure this out together. This contempt is defensive. It's not going to help you. Try to have a conversation.
No, I can
without
try, but
being
but I also feel like, Brock, you do. I feel like I have to.
So Kristi has a very normal instinct to use emotional intensity to try to get Brock to change his mind. This is, a primary instinct that we all have. The instinct basically is, if you don't do what I want, I'm gonna make a fuss. And that's kind of where she's headed right now, is she's getting more and more exasperated. And the goal of the exasperation is to try to get Brock to change his mind. The actual effect of her exasperation is to make it harder for him to change his mind. If she could learn how to hold on to herself and settle down and just talk about what she wants, that would increase the chances of Brock changing his mind. So Brock is in a situation where he doesn't want to give up his emotional independence, and he's thinking that by sleeping in a separate bed, that might help him do that. Kristi is encroaching on his emotional independence right now by getting so intense. And this is going to make it harder for Brock to want to sleep in the same bed with her, because this is one of the things that he's afraid of.
It's so hard for like the validity of like my preferences and opinions, because you devalue them.
He doesn't devalue her preferences and opinions. He just doesn't have the same preferences and opinions. Kristi wants one thing, Brock wants something else. That doesn't devalue what Kristi wants. It just means that she's the one who wants it and Brock doesn't. It's hard for Kristi to hold on to the idea that her preferences matter just as much, even if Brock doesn't agree with her.
So it's just like, I'm over here fighting for my life, like trying to like...
Listen.
It does feel like a survival situation to Kristi. So she says, I'm over here fighting for my life. That's what it feels like to her. It feels like her ability to be okay is being threatened by Brock disagreeing and wanting something else. That's Kristi's work, though. It'd be really important for Kristi to learn to be okay when Brock doesn't want what she wants.
I don't hear it exactly. It sounds to me like you have two different visions of how you want this one bedroom to feel like and look like.
Yeah, apparently.
That's this business of difference. What is difficult for you about what Brock is wanting for himself? It's something about the way the apartment will look, or maybe something about the meaning of this.
Yeah. Basically, it's just hard to just so not see this the same way. I'm thinking of like the story of our life as a couple is in boxes above your bedroom right now. And I was so excited to like finally move into a space where we could bring that down and onto the walls. That's all up in boxes.
Yeah.
And so when I looked at that apartment, I was like, here's a space where that can finally feel like home. Like finally feel like home. This is a coming together and it's making a home together. Like it's going to feel like our first apartment.
Do you kind of see it as a restart?
You know? It feels like if you don't want that again, it feels like you don't want us.
And now I get it. Sometimes I think about, like, could I have an affair right now on you? I don't think I could.
Keep going. You couldn't because
Like, I would feel so bad, like, hurting you.
I have lots of thoughts, but where?
It's funny to hear you say, like, I could never do what you did because of how it would hurt you. And what I've tried to convey to you before is space for the idea that maybe it wasn't about you. Like, it was not about you at all. I've told you before that I wasn't even thinking of you.
That's the problem. Brock is mapping in Kristi that she doesn't have a lot of concern for her impact on him. And, he's reverting to talking about the affair because that's a symbolic illustration of her lack of concern for her impact on him. But it's not really the right issue to focus on. It would be better for Brock to focus on Kristi's lack of concern for her impact on him right now, not in the past. That would be better for him to focus on. And it'd be good for the therapist to bring that up.
And for me, that experience was like so powerful because that was really the only time in my life where I can look back and say, like, only I owned myself in that moment. Like questions of duty or culture or marriage or identity as a woman, as a wife, as whatever, like all just were obliterated.
So they come from a very conservative religious background, and she grew up with the idea that she didn't matter as a woman. She wasn't allowed to make her own choices. And she's trying to figure out, how do I own myself and still have a connection with another person? Because Brock's individuality feels threatening to her, and Brock's desires feel threatening to her, and his differences feel threatening to her. And she's trying to learn how to be her own person without giving up connection with Brock. I think it's a beautiful illustration of the challenge we all face as we try to grow into the capacity to have a committed relationship.
And so it's hard to talk about that with you, though, because how can something that was so healing for me be the thing that hurt you the most?
I think there's something else that Brock seems to be asking for. I don't know. Which is not an explanation, but concern.
Like, yeah,
The thing Brock wants is Brock wants her to care more about the impact she has on him now. He's not actually worried about the past so much. I know he frames it that way, but he's worried about who Kristi is right now. He wants Kristi to be willing to look at the impact she has on him.
yes, I do have concern for, like, I just like don't know. It just feels like he just wants to just beat me with this for the rest of my life. It feels like he just wants to control the relationship
That's not
with
not what I want.
This is the therapist's job. The therapist needs to step in and help them figure out what's going on. And so, Brock is following this pattern that happens almost every time someone has an affair, where the person who got cheated on ends up, talking about the affair long after it's over, because it's really hard to focus on the problems in the present, and our brains are magnetically drawn to focusing on the problems in the past. And when you have something as big as an affair, it's really easy to take that and to use it to claim victim status, or just to, instead of saying, I want to talk to you about, my concerns about how you treat me today, I'm going to be magnetically drawn to say, I want to talk to you about my concerns about how you treated me in the past. And it just doesn't get us anywhere. But it is a lot harder to try to figure out what is going on today that bothers me. And if Brock could easily see that Kristi has changed, if it was obvious that Kristi was much more concerned about him than she was in the past when she had this affair, then he wouldn't worry about it anymore. But that's not obvious.
What are you looking for? What has Kristi not given you?
Like, I almost feel like I don't have like as much, like she has more power than me because she has proven that she can completely forget about me in a moment and do something for her. And I don't feel like I can do that.
He's mapping that she hasn't really changed her mind about this, that she hasn't really changed her mind to the point where she would consider her impact on Brock before doing something, even though she's not cheating right now. He's mapping in her that she hasn't really changed significantly on this measure.
You don't have that kind of power.
No.
Right.
And that bothers me. It's not even like we share power. I feel like I have less power. Even like one time when I asked you, like, hey, like, I'd like to explore like other ways of like, doing our relationship. And it was like, no, we're not. And since I don't have the power to go do it on my own,
he does have the power, he just doesn't want to. So Brock's not willing to do the thing that Kristi doesn't want him to do, like having an affair the way that she was. And he's framing that in terms of not having power, but it's just a choice that he's making.
Am left at her mercy for when she decides I need this for myself. Like, Brock, compartment, boom. And then I come back.
Yeah. I'll kind of start.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was a hard day for me.
Yeah. Really hard day.
Just feeling like hopeless about our future, hopeless about like where we can meet. It was hard to hear you say that like you're still so angry at me when like you know everything about me. And it just feels like none of that means anything to you.
What would it sound like if it did mean something to Brock?
I feel like if Brock understood me, you wouldn't be saying things like, I just need you to promise that that will never happen again. Like, I need you to like make that covenant, really.
But if Brock is saying, I don't feel safe when I ask you to not hurt me, and you do that.
So Brock's sense of safety isn't Kristi's job, and there's nothing that Kristi can say that's going to make Brock feel better. So he's barking up the wrong tree by trying to get her to say, I promise not to cheat on you again. It's not the right solution. He has a certain map of who she is, and he realizes that there's a chance she might cheat on him again. And it would be really good for Brock to accept that reality instead of just putting so much effort into trying to change it. When Brock reaches across and tries to make Kristi change the way she operates, it actually makes it a little bit harder for her to make that change. I think it would be good for Kristi to make that change and become more concerned about her impact on Brock, but Brock's making it a little bit harder for her to do that.
What are you doing with that information?
I hear that as Brock wanting to return to the systems and things that have given him comfort. A world in which men control women. And I have
I think this is an interesting point from Kristi because I don't think it's fair for her to frame this as men controlling women, because it's pretty normal for people to not want their partners to cheat, and it's pretty normal for people to want their partners to promise not to cheat. I do think that Brock is trying to control her, though. He's so insecure about this, and he's using his insecurity and his negative emotions to try to make her feel bad about not making this promise. So it'd be better for Brock to just tell Kristi what he sees, and he could do something like, you know, Kristi, my map of you is that you are not very concerned about the impact you have on me. And that includes a fear that you might cheat on me again in the future the way you have in the past. The reality is that if Kristi does that, Brock's going to be okay. And it's important for Brock to be responsible for his own okayness and not to put that on Kristi's shoulders. So I don't agree with the way Kristi frames this, but I do agree with the idea that Brock's trying to control Kristi.
Inverted that order, and it makes him scared. And so instead of transcending that, he wants to revert back.
That's possible. I don't know if that's Brock's experience. Is that?
No, especially because like I asked you to talk about open the marriage. Like,
Yeah, but not for me. That's because you wanted to assuage your own anxieties, because I wouldn't give you that promise. Like, I feel like Brock's suggestion of that is trying to shortcut some deeper feeling that I think that needs to happen. And also, that feels unproductive. I'm not going to do it.
So they're going down this road again of framing things in terms of right and wrong. And so Kristi especially likes to frame things as right and wrong. It's not helpful, because there's certain things that she wants and there's certain things that Brock wants. And there's no right and wrong in that. Like, the things that Brock wants are okay, and the things that Kristi wants are okay, but they get mixed up in framing everything as right and wrong.
Okay, I'm registering what you're saying. Can you articulate what matters to you?
yeah, I just want to know that in this partnership, we're committed to not hurting each other.
Brock needs to accept the fact that Kristi's not committed to that. And he's imagining some idea that she could say something that would change that fact, but obviously she can't. This would be a change that would have to happen in Kristi's brain. And so it's fine for Brock to ask Kristi to make that change, but it's a difficult thing to do, and she hasn't done it yet, and she might not do it. And it's important for Brock to take responsibility for his own okayness, given the situation he's living in, without trying to change Kristi so that he can be okay.
I refuse to commit to that, because that's not what a partnership,
But then that's not a partnership I want to be in.
So she won't commit to it because she doesn't want to commit to it. And that's fine. That's a choice she can make. And she feels controlled. That's valid. He is trying to control her. You can see him escalating here. So one of the primary ways we control each other is by using intense emotions like Brock is doing right now. Kristi's doing the same thing. So this is a thing we do where if you don't do what I want, then I'm going to throw a fit. And they're both kind of throwing these fits right now in an attempt to control each other. When they try to control each other, the other person rebels against that control and they end up in a power struggle.
Then you want a partnership that doesn't exist. You want a mirage.
The other thing is that Brock's saying this is a partnership I don't want to be in, but he's not actually ready to leave. And so it's probably not a good move for him to throw that out when he's not actually ready to leave. Like if he decides to leave, he can leave, but it would be better for Brock to not try to use that threat of leaving as leverage. It's not helpful, and it's actually really hurtful.
How and what are you like? You don't want to open the relationship, and yet you don't want to commit to me, and that
Because
makes me
I'm trying to
anxious.
be honest. I'm trying to be honest. And
It does make Brock anxious, and Brock's anxiety is his burden to carry, not Kristi's. There's a reality here for Brock to accept that Kristi is not willing to make this commitment. She's not willing to make this change. That's a choice she can make. He's focused on the idea that there's something he can say or something he can do to get Kristi to change her mind, but there might not be. And the way he's going about it is actually making it harder for her to change.
I'm trying to move towards a new way of thinking about partnership with you.
What does your new version of the partnership look like? You keep talking about transcending to something else. What is it?
It's fluid.
Okay, fluid to me means open.
That is not what
But Kristi, what does fluid mean to you?
fluid means. That you accept risk, that you are okay with a love that could hurt you.
Like,
It's real.
I know, but that the risk is after the commitment. Without the commitment, there's no.
You're talking about relationships like they're a math formula. Like,
Kristi, can I ask you to let go of contempt and try to actually have a conversation? You need to show up for this. The two of you are having a real issue. I mean, you're hoping that the resolution will come from Brock understanding you. But there are two people here. You have to extend the same degree of understanding.
I know, Orna, like I have. I
Well,
really feel like I
need to
have.
see it. I need to see it so I can understand what's the impasse. What do you hear Brock saying?
I'm hearing from you that it's not possible to cheat in an open relationship, which is not true.
That's not
No, but-
okay.
Sorry. Relieve yourself of your own opinions for a minute and just try to understand. What is Brock saying?
It's like he's asking for something that he already has.
Which is?
A commitment to not hurt him. I love him. I actively try not to hurt the people that I love.
In a real relationship, we actually hurt each other on purpose all the time. And we've seen both Brock and Kristi, do and say things in this session that are designed to hurt each other. That's just a normal pattern. And so Brock is accurately mapping Kristi, and he's not really that precise about expressing what it is he wants. But it's really hard for Kristi to accept the idea that she would want to hurt Brock. But sometimes she does, and Brock sometimes wants to hurt Kristi.
It doesn't mean that, like, I won't do it. But, like, you already have that from me. That's what love is. I don't know what more you want.
Can you respond to that?
Just a commitment that we're not going to cheat on each other.
What is the cost to you? Say it in full terms. What is the cost to you of saying, I will not do that again?
Just the pain of everything that this has been to us. To reduce it to that, to think that that is the out. Is to just promise that it'll never happen again. The cost is the pain. And that pain was really worth something to me.
It was worth something to me too, Kiz.
Say, what do you mean by that?
what I learned from it was that we can recommit to each other, and we can stretch our marriage to the needs of ourselves as partners, but we work together to do that. Like, we don't just decide one night, you know what, fuck it, I need this, I'm taking it. Like, that's not how I view commitment.
All I hear when you talk is my grandpa's voice. Because that was the one thing that he said. Do you remember? We sat on the couch and he was going to marry us. He said that's the number one thing. That's the most important thing. It's commitment, not love, not compassion, not forgiveness.
Right.
Commitment. That's not the most important thing to me.
It's
And it's the old ways to me. To me, that's the old ways.
okay, then let's open the relationship.
Unbelievable.
Brock, can you?
Sorry. I do.
No, I think what you might want to try is use a different language.
My concerns are, I don't want to be blindsided like that again. I can't. And if that is hanging over me, I won't be able to fully be with you.
So one way that Brock could handle this better would be, instead of trying to get her to say something or try to, kind of pressure her to change, he could accept her the way she is. And so Kristi, she's not offering him zero commitment. She's offering him a certain amount of commitment. He wants more. It's her choice, not his. And it would be good for Brock to say, Kristi, this is where I see you. So, this is the way I understand your commitment. I want you to be more committed to me than you are. I want you to be more invested in our relationship than you are. And I realize that's not my choice, that's your choice. And I'm going to be okay regardless of what choice you make there. And then Brock needs to take responsibility for his decision to be in a relationship with Kristi when she offers him the level of commitment that she does. The way, he's framing this is it's not okay, and Kristi's framing his preferences is not okay. Actually, both of their preferences are okay. They're both, somewhat reasonable, and it's okay for them to want what they want. But they each need to take responsibility for their own okayness in the context of the other person having different desires.
Well, I won't make you that promise again. So I guess we're open and you can do what you want. I will make that promise.
Okay. That's fine with you.
What does that resolve? That resolves for you, Brock?
I don't know what it resolves. The reason that I wanted an open marriage is because she's not going to commit to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I am not going to promise to her.
It's not clear to me that he really wants an open marriage. It seems more likely that he's just trying to use it as leverage to get her to do what he wants. And she's feeling that pressure. It's not going to work. And so Brock's best chance of getting what he wants is to set Kristi free to do what she wants, which makes her more likely to do the thing that Brock wants. So there's a chance that Kristi becomes more capable of commitment to Brock. But the best chance of that happening would be an environment of Brock not putting so much pressure on her to change.
Right. That's what it sounds like, that it's some kind of, I don't know, secondary deal
Kind of.
that none of you will be happy with.
Probably. It's a great win, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go ahead and leave Brock and Kristi there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon.